welcome to our Sunday stream. All right, we're just taking a second to get the old Fine Cam connected. All right, try to connect it. Home network is correct. There we go.
Thank you.
All right. Okay. So let's get the old Finny Cam going. And all right. So that little intro, do you think that it sounds like a threat whenever somebody after 17 hours claims, "You have now created a circle of mothers who are displeased with your response. This is your notice." To me, that seems like a threat. I think that to most people, they would feel like that's a threat, especially if they started calling the police on you 2 days after this. So 17 hours to be threatened, and we have the whole interaction on film. This is part of it. My camera broke it into 3 different videos. I don't know why the doorbell cam does that. I don't know why it just doesn't keep recording, but that's the way it was presented to me and came to me, and that's the way that we'll submit it. So anyway, that's the crux of the harassment that I've been dealing with, and like I said, God is great. Before, the scope of the investigation wasn't going to cover everything. Now it is. So we're actually kind of thankful of it, because now we get to truly test out the civil case before we get the high-end attorneys. And, these high-end attorneys, they're super expensive. I mean, they just really are. I mean, I'm probably going to be dropping $50,000 on this attorney. But, you got to spend money to make money, I guess. I don't know, because, my civil rights, my ability to worship God in the way that I was told to, that should not be hindered by anybody. And if you have permission to go on somewhere like public property and you wanted to go pray and somebody else tells you, no, you cannot, I actually think that that's like kidnapping or something. It's some weird something, it's something. I know it's something. I get that, but I mean, then of course, like everything is something technically. All right, so we just got the old animal sounds going, and old Nutty is feverishly. She's been doing that the whole time. She's like, look at all these great imageries that we found. But anyway, so we're dealing with a lot legally. Basically, Michael didn't have weapons for no reason. Okay, so all these great stories and stuff like that, they talk about, if they, you want to aspire to try to be like Jesus. Okay, Jesus, if nothing else, he was grace perfected. So, and even Jesus, he flipped over tables and whipped people, fashioned a whip out of ropes and something else, and then started whipping people. So don't be afraid to fight. That's the thing that everybody thinks that you're not supposed to do. No, absolutely. God is your shield. You be his sword. Okay, so that's just the way it really is. Like I said, there's I do a lot on social media, so a lot of the memes and stuff like that, I put out a lot of them where it's, essentially, I'm not Jesus, forgive and forget. Well, I'm not Jesus, and I don't have Alzheimer's, and God doesn't want you to act like Jesus in all situations. He doesn't pick perfect people. He picks perfect people for the job. And the thing is that, if you want to be persecuted and people make fun of you and to be fought in any and everything that you do, become a Christian, become an ordained minister, become a preacher, become a priest. And then if you want to add even more layers to that, which I was Baptist all of my life. I have, hellfire and brimstone, I believe in that stuff. But become a Druid, and then the Catholics are against you. Why? Because the first religion was actually Druidism, and then they copied the pagan systems and the Druid systems and created a religion. They studied the Druids, who had been essentially telling you, hey, just go out in nature and pray to God, and that is good enough. That is your church. That is, in fact, two people praying together is church. Two people praying together in nature is church. And, the churches, they wanted your money, and so that wasn't very good for them. So, yes, you want to aspire to be like Jesus, but you are not Jesus, and you don't have Alzheimer's. So, when you sin, repent, feel bad about it, ask for forgiveness. But if you want to rip someone's, heart out, or rip their soul from their body, I guess I should say, and proclaim that victory to God, think of all the what are those, the people who used to fight? No, not the archangels. The human formed ones. The ones they used to protect. They used to protect the Christians against the Muslims. I can't. It's on the tip of my tongue. I know y'all know it out there. We have a song about it even. What are they? Oh my goodness, it's bothering me so much. If you already are neurodivergent, which I am, and then you have long COVID and you have brain fog real bad, it's kind of expected, I guess. And so I deal with that currently. Which, I mean, the brain fog, when you've done what me and Nutty have done for as long as we've done it, you're going to see a lot of really terrible stuff. There's children who are burnt up, they're frozen in these shapes, just horrible stuff. Where they're graping, and that's the thing that really sucks, is that you can't just speak truth on a lot of these forums. But they were assaulted. These children were assaulted in a sexual manner, and they used objects to do these things. And when you see that, when you have to lay your eyes on that, and then you have these really screwed up parents, teachers, and just foster parents and biological parents and stuff like that, and then they're justifying this, the behavior that was done on their kids, and they go so far as to put the child in a diaper to go to school so they don't bleed down their legs. And then they think that, we're the bad guys. Why? Because we noticed it? Because we saw it? The thing is that a good analogy is that when you're a hammer, everything looks like a nail. So our entire belief system is, try to stop it without making the phone calls. We hold these phone calls and these incident reports and stuff like that. We always hold them till the last second, until it's undeniable, until in a court of law you can prove that these people should not have their kids. And that's a high bar to set, but that's what we're going for. We're going for, hey, why in the hell are you abusing these children? Why is it that, that you think this is okay? And abuse comes in all forms. It's sexual, it's physical, it's emotional, and it's mental. And the thing is that for somebody to be considered an abuser, we try not to go with the mental and the psychological because, are they going to be in a better situation? Is the foster home, which a lot of foster homes are really screwed up. That's where they're trying to change the sexes and do all that stuff. It's like some kind of screwed up experiment that these people who have no business having any kids are trying to take care of these kids, and then I want to keep this kid now, and you go, well, that wasn't the goal. This is a temporary place, and why? If you're grown, why do you want to work around other people's kids so much? Like the whole Nickelodeon situation or the whole Disney situation. Why do you need to be around these kids? And I've heard such a really absurd thing. It's actually part of the case that I'm dealing with. That people, whenever they covet, that means they're full of crap. Okay, when somebody speaks the truth, it's very clean, simple, But I was told to my face, and this is after one lie that I knew was a lie. I got permission, and then rattled off the name of the person who on Property Appraiser owns the property. And then whenever I called, they said, "Oh no, they're lying." Okay. Well, who has permission? Nobody has permission. You don't see the no trespassing signs? Of course, it's construction zone. We all know that those are no trespassing. If you're have an adult mind, you should know, hey, construction zone, stay the hell out. They don't exactly lock up their tools and stuff like that, and that's what it truly would be, is that they don't want their stuff to come up missing. So anyway, I had a point to that, and I've lost it. Like I said, I am vaxxed, and my brain doesn't work correctly. So my brain didn't work. My brain didn't work normally. It worked well. Like I said before, I got a 99 on my ASVAB. I got really high SAT scores. I was Dean's List. I was AB honor roll most of my life. Never had to study. Never had to never opened the books. It was something. It was annoying whenever we were graded on a curve, because I was the curve. But also in doing all of that, I also sat there and bounced in my chair nonstop. An object in motion stays in motion. Well, I'm always in motion. I don't sit down. I pace constantly. They say that I have. I say, and they agree with me that I have really bad anxiety, social anxiety especially. I like my animals and I like my nature, and that's what I prefer to be. I prefer to be surrounded by nature, and the only guests that I really want to deal with are those of the animal type. And that's the thing, is that animals don't feel like they have to BS you to be liked. They just are. And every time you go around the corner, it disconnects. Yeah. So you're going. The signal's not getting out there. It's not getting out there like you think it is. So anyway, life is good. Life is great. I get to have all these different. I get to enjoy God's bounty daily. I fast a lot, so if you want to know how I keep my weight off, because I love my sugar. I love candy. Give me, ice cream, give me milkshakes, give me all that stuff. And so I have a tendency to, once I start eating sugar, about every 2 hours, I have to eat sugar. So I try to hold off on that sugar. But, once I've hit the sugar, I have a tendency to binge the sugar. And so to compensate for that, so in a typical binge, if I do it all day, I probably eat $10,000 calories of sugar in that day. And if I just binge, like let's say I say, I ate a gummy and there's a little bit of sugar in the gummy, and then of course I get a little stupid in the brain, I guess, and then I go, well, I've already had a little bit of sugar. I can have some more sugar. So then I break out the Sweet Tarts, and then it's the Mambas, and then it's the Malaffy Taffies, and then I'll make my way over to chocolate, and I just candy. I love candy, and so for me, I'd rather have candy than bread, and it's all about the same. Bread is like one iteration away from cake, and cake is one iteration from candy, so I just go straight for the candy. I love candy. So, but anyway, all right, so we are going to go to the alligator farm, I believe, possibly. So we're going to do a shorter stream today, but we're still doing our God's duty, and we're trying to say this stuff proud and loud and proud. So anyway, God bless you. Remember to try to find a second person. Step outside. If you can, ground yourself, which means, put your skin on the ground, preferably bottom of your feet. Otherwise, you're going to be a little itchy. But ground yourself and say a prayer outside. And then that is your, hey, I went to church. You don't have to go to church, okay? But if you feel like part of your Sunday obligation is going to church, you don't have to go to a brick and mortar location. You can listen to a podcast of a religious sermon. You can say your own prayer. The main thing about Sunday doesn't say go to church. It says have a day of rest and worship or honor God. So in having a day of rest, if you go, hey, I'm having this day of rest because it's Sunday and this is God's day, hey, that's all you got to do. So, but I would say to go a little bit better, you might want to read some of your religious text. Read a Bible, read a Have 'em All, read a Dead Sea Scrolls, read some type of book that has some divinity in it. And if you don't want a religious text, read like the Grimm's fairy tales. Okay, they have a moral component to all the fairy tales. If you're new at this worshiping God thing, there's lots and lots of books that have God's wisdom in them, and technically, every book that's ever been written was written by God. Okay, God is in all of us, and that divinity, the Awan, that free-flowing creativity, it comes from God. So there's lots and lots of books that have God's divinity in them. You just have to find them, and some have a lot more of that divinity in them than others. And I just go straight to the source. I like the religious texts that are as close to the original written down Awan that was created. Okay, so once you've corrected something, it is no longer Awan. So like the Old Testament and like from the actual Dead Sea Scrolls, those have a lot of divinity in them. The New Testament has some divinity in it. The Adi Granth has a lot of divinity in it. The Have 'em All, a lot of divinity in it. That's where all of our books, they all come from, and it's all about how much divinity are contained inside of this text. And anytime that you have something that you say, hey, this is a religious text, it should have a lot of Awan in it. But that's what you're looking for. You're not looking to verbatim take every word and go, well, right here it says this. Something that a lot of people don't like to hear is nowadays you hear a lot of this, this gay talk. I believe that trans is evil and against God. However, homosexuality, I don't feel like it's against God. However, if you start going into just the New Testament, I believe it's the New Testament. We'll have to check and see exactly, because it doesn't ever come up, because it's only in there like one place, and if it's true, it'll be repeated. But the whole men should not wear women's clothing. I know it's in the book. I've read it before. But so many people, they're pushing this rainbow stuff on us, and you made it easy for me to be against the rainbow stuff because, The rainbow is a promise to no longer flood the planet, to no longer flood the world. And that story about the flooding is in every religious book, religious text, for all of time. And so for thousands and thousands of years, these stories were passed from, by word of mouth. And then, like the book of Isaiah, from those original to what we have now, it was almost exact. And there are some, I think that they call them like artistic liberties. There were some of those taken, but it's pretty much the same. It's the same story. Might not be all the exact words, but it's really friggin' close to being all the exact words. So again, it doesn't matter how you're worshiping. It matters what you're worshiping. That does matter. God said, "Don't even light an incense to anyone else." So all right. So let's and I wasn't muted today, so that's a good start. So let's get a ceremonial fire, and then we will send you on your way, Mr. YouTube. We'll read a couple texts, and then we will play a game, and then call it a day. So fairly short stream. All right, here we go. Just like that, ceremonial fire. All right.